Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narasimhan. Tensions have escalated in the Middle East due to the violent engagement between Israel and Iran for the seventh straight day, and on Thursday, both sides exchanged strikes. The Middle East has been the hotbed of military and militia-driven activity for the last few years now, and it's expected to see more, even with the United States almost on the cusp of joining in. That's the indication from President Donald Trump, giving hints that he might push the US directly into the fight. US President Donald Trump, who cut short his G7 summit visit to Canada and said something bigger was the reason behind him doing so and not the possibility of a ceasefire, as certain people were speculating, has opened the possibility of the US joining the Israeli military action against Iran, as Trump claimed that Tehran had made overtures to negotiate. This is the last shot, last time, last-ditch effort, because something big is coming up next week. Now, Israel has, in the meantime, struck down a defunct or not used nuclear reactor in the Arak region. They've released this video, the Israeli Defense Forces, saying they've struck the Arak heavy water reactor, a key nuclear site, hours after issuing evacuation warnings. So there were warnings to the people living in and around this Arak facility to vacate this area before the IDF went ahead and struck this facility. And this is the aircraft flying over at least about 1,500 kilometers to target this particular facility in Arak. Meanwhile, Iranian missile strikes have taken place, counter strikes, and this is at a hospital in Israel. Iran unleashing a barrage of missiles. They have, for the first time, pressed into service their Sejal missile, a ballistic missile. For the first time, they pressed it into service. And one of these missiles has hit a southern Israel's largest hospital, the Soroka Medical Center. The Iranians have claimed that their target was not the hospital above, but an Israeli intelligence facility underground. But what the Israelis have claimed with releasing the pictures is there was nothing there, and what's been damaged and what's been targeted is the hospital. That's what Israeli officials have claimed, showcasing the video and saying this is what's been done, this is what Iran is up to, targeting civilian establishments and attacking hospitals and residential areas. Then, meanwhile, heavy explosions have rocked three Iranian cities, including Isfahan, Shiraz, and also Kermanshah. So these attacks continue. Israel is upping the ante, and these are targeted strikes, and they are able to make foray into the Iranian airspace at will. Meanwhile, Iran's nuclear base, Fordow, is also on the US target now. It's on its radar. It is called Iran's Mount Doom. Around 262 to 295 feet below ground, this is their uranium enrichment facility. Fordow is the uranium enrichment facility, and the intelligence report suggests there is a huge tranche of enriched uranium inside this facility. This is about 100 kilometers away from the Iranian capital of Tehran. The entire region is mountainous. It is safe from any aerial bomb threat. It's not easy to penetrate this nuclear base. Israel wants the US bunker busters to hit Iran's Fordow nuclear site to denuclearize Iran. If the uranium enrichment facility, even the Pakistanis don't have the uranium enrichment facility like the Iranians do, if this is negated, neutralized, this could set back Iran's nuclear program by at least 2 to 3 decades. That's what the Israelis believe. Now, the bunker busters is a term that is used for bombs designed to destroy targets located deep underground that conventional bombs cannot reach or penetrate. Israel operates the US-made bunker busters, including the GBU-28 and the BLU-109, which are typically dropped from fighter jets such as the F-15. Now, these weapons, however, have a much shallower penetration range and are not capable of reaching extreme depths of fortified sites like Iran's Fordow nuclear facility. In 2024, Israel reportedly successively used BLU-109 bombs to kill Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah in his underground headquarters in Beirut. Now, the B-2 Spirit, a US stealth bomber, is currently the only aircraft designed to deploy the GBU-57 and can carry 2 bunker buster bombs at a time. The US military's most powerful bunker buster is the GBU-57. It's a massive ordnance penetrator, weighing about 30,000 pounds, 13,600 kilograms, including a 2,700 kilogram or a 6,000 pound warhead. This precision-guided bomb is made of high-strength steel and is built to penetrate up to 200 feet, 61 meters underground before exploding. 2 of these bunker busters is what will take to cause any damage to the Fordow nuclear site. Now, reports cite that Ayatollah Kaming, meanwhile, has moved to an underground bunker in Lavizan, located northeast of Tehran. So, many reports said that he has fled to Moscow, but at this point in time, because of his televised messages and with all the leaders around him, it's believed, and the Israelis believe, he's still in Iran, now moving to an underground facility. This report further adds that all the members of the Supreme Leader's family are currently with him. The reports also cite sources to note that one of Ali Khamenei's 2 sons was recently transferred to a shelter. Now, on the 17th of June, there's another parallel development. Reza Pahlavi, son of the last Shah of Iran, posted a video message on platform X. The Islamic Republic has come to its end and is collapsing. What has begun is irreversible. The future is bright, and together we will turn the page of history. Now is the time to stand up, time to reclaim Iran. May I be with you soon. This is what he said in his video message. Now, with speculation swirling around the Iranian regime change, his return may seem more plausible than in the past 4 decades. Now, can Reza Pahlavi return to rule Iran? Pahlavi has some expatriate backing, but only 39% of the Iranians actually support him. This is a 2022 study that we are quoting here on the right stand. The monarchy remains unpopular. The monarchy has limited appeal among youth and reformists. It lacks organized political base inside Iran. Although Pahlavi advocates democracy, he is not talking about kingship. But his royal title, past family rule, they are actually fueling a sense of distrust. He is also claiming that the regime is weakening. This was as of 17th of June, and he sought a transitional role. But the opposition in Iran is fragmented largely because it's been the Ayatollah regime for the last 4 decades. And there is literally no opposition there. Now, can a regime change be enacted? Will there be enough traction for a Reza Pahlavi? Or are we seeing a Muhammad Yunus-like situation in Iran? What is happening in Bangladesh? Could that happen in Iran? And is that even plausible? Is that even workable? Now, there are historical CIA links, and there is a pro-Israel stance that may be seen as foreign interference. And that's why there is distrust, weak domestic support, and no clear path to power. These are the factors that hinder Shah Reza Pahlavi's return. Now, Iran would need a new constitution also, replacing the current Islamic Republic framework. Although Shah Reza Pahlavi claims we have a plan in place, we have everything ready. But to replace the entire constitution, to change the entire framework, and to make it more secular, make it more democratic, that's an enormous legal and political ask and task. So what is the end game here? Is a regime change even possible? And what and when can this denuclearizing of Iran happen? Ambassador Deepak, Gora, former diplomat, should be joining us any moment now. Colonel Rohit Dev, defense expert with us, and Zahak Tanir, Middle East expert with us. My namaste to everybody. Thank you very, very much. My first question to you, Zahak Tanir, how do you read the situation currently? There are a lot of developments happening. Simultaneously, we'll try and go to it one by one. But first is this entire task that the Israelis have taken up, along with the Americans backing it, of saying Iran cannot go nuclear. How is that? Can that be achieved?
Yeah, when it comes to the topic of the denuclearization of Iran, I think, yes, Israel has been successful in demolishing and destroying a lot of Iranian nuclear sites. But one of them, which is one of the biggest one, is the Fordow nuclear site, and it cannot be achieved without the intervention of United States, because right now Israel does not have the capacity to destroy or demolish the Fordow nuclear site. So for that, obviously, Israel will need the United States GBU 57 for that. When it comes to the regime change, a lot of people are indeed talking about the regime change. They say that the regime change may be possible, but as per my opinion, and when I see a lot of experts talking about it, I don't think that regime change is like the knife through butter, or regime change is that easy, especially in Iran, because the affiliation with Iran across the world is not just political affiliation. A lot of people have religious affiliation. You have people in India, you have people in
Yeah.
Pakistan, you have people in Afghanistan who is loyal to Iran and the supreme leader Ali Khamenei. They're all loyal to Ali Khamenei, and it's not that easy to just replace Khamenei and put someone else. It's not like Libya, Gaddafi. It's not like Saddam Hussein. It's not like any other country. It's a very tough job, especially when Iran has militias all over Lebanon. It has militias in Yemen. It has militias in Syria. So regime change is not a knife through butter job for United States, but people are talking about it. In fact, I've spoken to some of the Israeli experts, and I've asked them, like, can Raza Pahlavi be the right candidate, the potential candidate who can replace Ali Khamenei? Even the Israelis are speculative about it. They say that no, we don't think so. Raza Pahlavi can be the right candidate to replace Ali Khamenei. They don't have the answer. They don't have the answer because Ali Khamenei not only controls the politics, he controls from missile industry to the baby products, everything reports to Ali Khamenei, and he controls the Guardian Council. He controls everything in Iran. So, from my perspective, what I believe is not easy to change the regime.
So, but if Fordow is attacked, Zach, what happens then? If Fordow is, you're saying, let's say the Americans provide the bunker busters, provide the stealth bombers to the Israelis. So it's again in the face of the Israeli military that is operating these. It's not America directly. Let's say Fordow is attacked. What happens then? Because there is enriched uranium there. The Russians and the Chinese have finally gotten active. There has been a long conversation between President Putin and President Xi Jinping. Both Xinhua and Russia today have reported today that they are pushing for a ceasefire. President Putin is saying, I know the Iranians well, I am happy to come as a mediator. Trump has laughed that off. What do you see happening? If Fordow is hit, will the Ayatollah succumb? Will they back off?
See, if Fordow is hit, in case we don't think so, it's that easy because Trump's policy is MAGA, Make America Great Again. So he's basically reiterating this fact that we majorly focus on the American interest. So he also reiterated that we will not be directly involved in this war. And in fact, the U.S. administration has said that we have prepared for anything. If Trump orders, then we'll be putting our boots in. But at the same time, if the Fordow is demolished or destroyed, let's accept it. Then there will be the power vacuum in Iran, like we have seen the power vacuum in Syria for the past 20 years. There will be power vacuum there was a power vacuum in Iraq. So the same kind of situation will be in Iran. There will be the rise of extremism, the radical extremist groups. We have the Iranian militias. There will be the rise of the ISIS again. So the whole situation will be completely volatile, and this is what the Saudi Arabia foresees, and this is what the UAE foresees. And these countries have been pushing the United States, and in fact, they're trying to involve Russia in it to de-escalate the situation. It's a very dangerous game if the regime change happens in Iran.
Well, he is the Iranian foreign minister, reports suggest, and he's also confirmed he's traveling to meet the Britons, the Brits, the French, and the Germans. That trifecta is trying to meet and wonder what's going to be conveyed at that point. This meeting is scheduled for Friday. Ambassador Deepak Gora, your thoughts? Namaste.
Well, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be with you, sir. Learn from you. I've heard our colleagues saying that the Ayatollah Khamenei controls everything. I've been 52 years in diplomacy and counting. And when such a thing happens, everything is controlled by one man, he falls very hard. Because then it's an echo chamber where nobody has the courage to tell you what the reality is. I've been to that area. I've lived 20 years over there. Certainly have a lot of respect for our friends from Iran, certainly have a respect for our friends from Israel. This, if it happens, the regime change will be the third non-organic regime changing. First was in 1953 when Mossadegh was booted out by the British and the Americans after he nationalized the oil industry. Second was in 1979 after the Shah was thrown out. And third, if it happens, will be now. What does Israel want, sir? My own understanding, after speaking to many of them, and I've known many of their leaders, the issue of denuclearization of Iran, they feel will follow after regime change. They believe that Iran decided to chase the nuclear weapon after the Iran-Iraq war of 1980 to 1988, when the Americans gave their darling, a fellow called Saddam Hussein, all kinds of weapons, including chemical weapons, and said, go beat up on the Iranians. And I believe that, according to friends I've spoken to, and I've served there, that's the time they decided that they would need something more powerful than chemical weapons. But Saddam Hussein didn't have any chemical weapons. He didn't even know how to manufacture a cricket bat. Forget about chemical weapons. So they got it from the Americans. They used it on the Iranians. That's when they decided, the Ayatollah and his regime, that they would need to go for the bomb. And that became an obsession. And the Israelis believe that if there's a regime change and a more West-friendly, Israel-friendly regime comes into power in Iran, then they would probably not need to bomb out of existence the nuclear facilities. So, sir, I think the primary goal is regime change. And then they believe that denuclearization will follow. This is the thinking there. Some of my Iranian friends, some of my Israeli friends, I beg your pardon, sir, we have our own group, and they've just sent me, we exchange messages on WhatsApp. And one of them has told me, Mr. Ambassador, you talk about peace. You know that they've bombed our hospital. You know what they are doing to Israel. We're a tiny country. Do you still think we should talk about peace? I don't have an answer.
No, the Israelis are saying that the Iranians are attacking civilian facilities.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
but this regime change, Ambassador, you would also accept, before I go across to Colonel Rohit Dev, will not happen unless there is an internal support for a regime change and there is an alternative leadership. Shah Raza Pahlavi has put his hand up, but will that allow the Western forces to establish democracy in Iran? And if these nuclear facilities continue to exist, what is to say 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, when perhaps geopolitical equations change, the Khamenei-led factions, and they will not come back into power? See,
That's a very good question. Let me answer that. Let's assume that nobody has been manufactured as of now by the great God, by whatever name you call him, who can replace Ali Khamenei. There's going to be chaos. We saw that in Iraq. We saw that in Syria. We saw that in Libya. I was there, sir, when Gaddafi was dispatched wherever he's supposed to go. I've seen that in Sudan. When the old leadership goes, there will be chaos. How does that hurt the Americans? How does that hurt the Israelis? If they're busy fighting with each other, they're not going to pay attention to their nuclear program. This is the calculation, I believe, in the West. Let them fight with each other. Let the country explode. How do I care? It's 2,000 kilometers away from the Middle East. Let them fight. Fine. But as long as they don't go chasing their nuclear bomb.
But Zahak had a very interesting point there. The equations, if you look at Libya, Iraq, Bangladesh, it's very different with Iran. Iran is the Shia fountainhead. There are Shias across the world. And the Ayatollah is not just a political leader, he's also a religious, spiritual head. The Shias have largely been across the world benign. They have not been aside of the Iranians. They have largely been very supportive. They've been modern in their outlook. They've pursued education, and even in Iran, they're a very progressive race, barring this entire fight that is there. And the Iran-Iraq war was also a Shia-Sunni sectarian issue. And of course, control of resources, oil, etc. at that point in time. But how does that come? Does that not become a factor? Because the Iranians will never forget this. Be it their Avestan roots or be it their Zoroastrian roots, it's a very indigenous culture which is different from the Arab world.
There's no question of they are not Arabs.
Yeah.
If you recall when the Shah Raza Pahlavi dynasty, we had also gone there, celebrated their 2500th anniversary some years ago. The biggest party in the desert in Persepolis. By the way, I was there. I was then working in the government, and I was asked to accompany our then president. And then he went to the tomb, the grave of Darius, and said, "Darius, sleep well, for we are awake." This kind of appeal to the great civilization, the great Safavid dynasty, etc., that ruled Iran for a long time. But that didn't wash, sir. That didn't save his throne. He was booted out when the people got sick of him, whatever the reason, the corruption, the nepotism, this, that, and the other. I believe today, sir, when the country faces 80%, 70% inflation, 50, 60% unemployment, it's nice because the media is tightly controlled, information doesn't come out. But once it comes out, I think we will realize that the Iranians would be very happy to stop the devastation of their country, even if it means sacrificing the present regime.
But at what cost? Because that's a wounded dog, and and a wounded Iran is far more dangerous, deadlier, because they will stew, they will wait, and they'll come back 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years later. This will not be forgotten. So it's not going to be permanent if this is what, because it's going to be a wound. वो धीरे धीरे नासूर बन जाएगा, if I may use it, if I may say in Hindi. But Colonel Rohit Dev, the other aspect is the Iranians have sleeper cells across the world. What if there are terror attacks? If the act of desperation by the Ayatollah leads to massive civilian destruction, not just on American soil, but on other nations too, and other places too, wherever possible. It's a marta kya na karta kind of a situation for the Ayatollah and his family. What happens then?
See, Anand, I agree that may happen, but Bharta Kya Nahi Karta cannot be a mad dog biting everybody on the street. And the street is not very congenial for Iran to bite today, because Iran also needs, as the aftermath of whatever is going to happen, to have some friends along the spectrum. So it will only bite people who are biting Iran today. And that is probably par for the course. So American soil, Israeli soil, if Trump attempts to get Pakistan in his favor books, then Pakistani soil is very near. And that is where the Indian diversion and Indian mind should work, actually, how to use this opportunity to get back at our enemies rather than focusing on who the dog was going to bite. But coming to the larger point, let me also talk about the condition which is prevailing. So internally, if you see Iran, this process was caught on by the West, and it's more of a ideological change they want to, ensure. Nuclear part is one major thing. Obviously, they will achieve it. Now, pre-Khamenei or post-Khamenei, the nuclear takeout is the question. If you look at what Trump is doing today, he is not. If he had to use the GBU-57, it would have been used already. So I think that's not the game currently. The game is to put so much of pressure on the Khamenei regime. And militarily, the Israelis are doing the right work, and they're not doing it on their own. Israel is acting at the clear behest and support of the United States today. Now, whether geopolitically Trump is going to do a flip-flop on this is something the world will see in the next few days. But if he sticks to his guns, there are two options. A, Khamenei is in a known location. And imagine being in a known location with Mossad operating, American surveillance over him. And Trump has declared in an open public post that he knows where Khamenei is. And Khamenei is not dead, right? So there may be a pressure being developed to make sure that the current regime agrees to the terms and conditions to open up its nuclear book, to talk to the West, and basically surrender without getting hit any further. That's option one. Option two is you keep getting hit till you surrender mentally. The nuclear part of Fordow getting stuck or something like that will only come up when that is the first case to take place. And then obviously there is no Khamenei thereafter as well. So between Raza and between Khamenei, the people are actually the sort of springboard where the Western philosophy of controlling Iran is coming from. So you see, while Israelis are attacking the Khamenei regime in Tehran, the people of Tehran and otherwise are applauding that change. And you have seen a lot of, social media posts, which is coming out now, where people are very, very happy, anticipating this regime change. So I think this regime change is something which the West is hooked upon. Israel is doing the military part to put that pressure. And once it comes together, and you also mentioned that they're going to the three countries to talk to on Friday, that messaging will go to Trump again. So Trump is waiting. Trump is not yet climbing that doomsday aircraft to be airborne and to hit Tehran tomorrow morning. It's not going to happen. So I think there is still some time and pause for Khamenei to reconsider his position, come down. He's beyond 80s in terms of age. And there are many other people who are mini Khameneis, already in the arsenal of Iran and building up. So that's not going to change. You see, ideologically, you cannot defeat some regime like that.
Correct.
So only thing is when the people want that change. And that is where the West, for the last 3-4 years, you remember those ladies being hit and taken to the gallows to be, massacred by the Iranian regime. That is where people like us thought that this change will come not very suddenly. Nuclear part is one major part, but the ideological part has taken its own toll to reach the day you have reached today. So I think it is going to be a very nice meshing of both the military capabilities to be taken off, basically the nuclear, and also, but once you have taken on the regime change, I agree with the ambassador quite fully that you will denuclearize Iran. You have no other option because, like you said yourself, in 5-10 years, the demon will come back to roost. You don't want that to happen. So not only nuclear technology, but missile technology and other giveaways will be sanctioned on Iran for a long time to come, till democracy takes a shape that it becomes responsible. And that's we're talking about 30-40 years from now. So
even now, Colonel Rohit Dev, Iran is not denied nuclear power as long as they do not enrich uranium. As long as it is beyond a certain level, because for civil purposes, it's not a point. It's a signatory to the NPT. But the worry has been that they've been enriching uranium, one of the only Muslim in the Muslim world nations which can enrich uranium. Even the Pakistanis can't do that. But my question is, today, President Putin and Kremlin has warned Israel that there are Russian scientists in some of these nuclear facilities, Natanz and also maybe Fordow. What happens tomorrow in one of these strikes? Russian scientists die.
It's
does that not then force the Russian hand to get into this game?
No. It's not likely to happen. I'll tell you why. When Putin spoke to Mr. Trump, whatever comes out in the media and those jokes about he trying to show the place to Putin, if this was the concern of the Russians that the scientists were in Fordow, I'm quite sure America knows it, and that would be a reason till they are extricated, nothing is going to happen. You don't play geopolitics on small mimicry kind of war games. If two presidents have spoken and those assets are very vital for Russia, Russia would have placed its cards on the table and told this in unambiguous terms to even the Americans, and the Israelis would have been conveyed by the Americans itself. So that may be one reason why there are pauses. Your TV is flashing with Arak nuclear site being hit and all that. So all those sites, and these are all registered targets. I mean, take India, Pakistan, any other country. These targets are very, very sensitive and known. To strike them, you have to be very sure that what's going to be your next step. If you strike too early, prematurely, you're going to create more enemies. And if you're saying what you are saying, that the Russians have made clear that the scientists are there, believe you me, Russians are not any easy, doodle to fry for even the Americans. And they will, talk whatever to tom their might, but they will not try to urge the Russians on the wrong way, especially on the nuclear front itself.
It's also surprising.
I don't think it will happen.
Okay, Ambassador Deepak Gora also had a point. It's also surprising that the Russians have not come to the aid of their long-time friend Iran. It was Iran that supplied them kamikaze drones in the fight against Ukraine. Both Russia and China, President Xi, President Putin have had a telephonic conversation. Both have stressed upon the need for peace. Putin even saying, I'm willing to mediate, play the mediator, which was laughed off by Donald Trump. But how are you reading this? The Russia-China silence, or the Russia-China, quietly standing by on the sidelines and watching what's happening? Ambassador Gora.
Thank you. All I want to say is, after so many years in diplomacy, and I've seen this time and again in my career, one of the first things we are taught in diplomatic school is the Felix Schwarzenberg principle, which essentially says if you want loyalty in international relations, go buy a dog. You're not going to get loyalty anywhere. Now, the Russians have their scientists working on the nuclear plants over there. You remember, sir, the same thing happened in Kiev also, when in Ukraine, when the Azov steel plant, where I've been, by the way, when I was studying there, was attacked. There were a lot of French scientists who were working there, and there were all kind of pathogen enhancement rubbish going on over there. And Macron even sacked his intelligence chief. Why didn't you tell me that the Russians were going to attack? I'm told that some French scientists were captured, and then there was a negotiation with Russia. They gave them back, etc. So my own feeling is, sir, that neither Russia is too busy in Ukraine. Ping Pong, or whatever that fellow, Chinese fellow's name is, he's too busy defending himself. Why would he want to get involved? What does he gain? He wants to take Taiwan. That's his priority.
Yeah.
He's not interested in what happens to Iran. I'm not sure that China has become the Islamic People's Republic of China. Last heard, it was still the People's Republic of China. He doesn't care, sir. And I hope the Ayatollahs realize this, that Iran would be delighted if the regime there is replaced by a non-radical Islamic regime. I think they'll be very, very happy. You know what they're doing to the Uyghurs. And Putin, who also doesn't like the Muslims, i.e. the Chechens, he would also be very happy if this kind of thing would happen. So the conversation between them, we want peace. So do I want peace. Even the Somalians want peace. Even Al-Qaeda wants peace. Everybody wants peace. That is meaningless in international affairs. Who's going to bring that peace? Only two people can do it, or three, may I say. One is if Khamenei is eliminated or resigns or surrenders or whatever, Second is a fellow called McDonald Trump. Third is Bibi Netanyahu. There isn't a fourth person who can play that role, sir.
Zahak, final word before we move on to the other dynamic in this show. Yeah.
Yeah, as the diplomat clearly mentioned about the peace process, Iran has been saying that we want peace, but at the same time, you see Iran has been reiterating in the Muslim world that we want to wipe off Israel. So the complete nuclear plan of Iran is based on the elimination of Israel. So that's something. Today is Israel, tomorrow it will be some other country. So they have the expansionist agenda. So I believe that this country, which believes in the expansionist agenda, which believes in conversions, which believes in converting everybody, I think such kind of regime should not be supported at any cost. Thank you.
Sure, Zahak.